On the very first day of her return as the genuine heiress, she commenced a live broadcast. Dear family, today I shall take you on a glimpse into the authentic life of the affluent. She directed the camera towards me, declaring, "This is the false heiress who has occupied the nest for 18 years. Once the paternity test is revealed, she shall be cast out." The barrage of comments erupted in applause. Little did she know, my father is under the thumb of my mother is a formidable businesswoman, my brother is a top-tier celebrity, and I am the supreme boss overseeing the three of them. I cleared my throat and addressed the three individuals beyond the lens, stating, "Deductions will be made." My father's complexion turned pale, my mother's legs weakened, and my brother's smile froze. The live stream was instantly set ablaze with excitement. On the very first day of the true heiress Jiang Chuchu's return, my home transformed into a grand arena broadcasted nationwide. With her phone held aloft, she directed the lens squarely at my face, her sweet voice imbued with palpable excitement. "Dear family, today I shall unveil the authentic life of the affluent. And, as a bonus, witness how an imposter who has occupied my rightful place for 18 years is cast out." In the frame, I languidly reclined on the sofa, clad in wrinkled loungewear, a half-eaten slice of watermelon clutched in my hand. The barrage of comments erupted instantly. "What the heck? Is this the infamous faux heiress Jean Yen? She looks so ordinary, even a tad disheveled. Goddess Chuchu has suffered. 18 years lost to this interloper. Quick, demand a paternity test and send her packing. Our Chuchu is the sole legitimate daughter of the Ji family." Jiang Chuchu gazed at the rolling comments, a smirk curving her lips. Clad in a high-fashion dress, her makeup impeccable, she resembled a proud peacock. Meanwhile, I was but a dusty hen beneath her feet. She slowly panned the camera, revealing the three individuals behind me. "This is my father, Jian." The camera captured a middle-aged man in an apron, wielding a spatula, who offered me a sycophantic smile. "This is my mother, GXI." The lens focused on a woman who had just returned from outside, donned in a high-end suit, exuding an aura of authority. Upon seeing me, her piercing gaze softened to a spring-like warmth as she cautiously set her briefcase down, fearful of making even the slightest sound. "This is my brother, Jiyu." The camera showcased a top-tier celebrity, dazzling on stage and eliciting screams from countless fans, now dutifully holding a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. Bending slightly to offer it to me, the comments in the live stream momentarily halted. Am I seeing this correctly? Dad is a stay-at-home dad? Mom is a domineering CEO? Brother is a top star serving drinks? This script is all wrong. What is going on with this family? Why are they treating an imposter so kindly? Especially her mother. Is that a look meant for a boss? My husband. How could you serve that woman? I won't allow it. Jiang Chuchu's expression stiffened slightly, but she quickly regained composure, addressing the live stream. "Please, do not misunderstand. They have merely been deceived by this woman for 18 years and have yet to adjust." She continued, stepping forward, gazing down at me with the demeanor of a victor. "Jean Yen, you have occupied my life for 18 years. It is now time to return what is rightfully mine. The only way out for you is to leave this home." I leisurely swallowed the last morsel of watermelon, casually tossing the rind into the trash Kanjiyu had hastily presented. Then I raised my gaze, my eyes drifting past Jiang Chuchu to the three individuals standing rigidly behind her, not daring to breathe. Clearing my throat, my voice, though not loud, resonated clearly throughout the living room and through Jiang Chuchu's phone to the ears of millions in the live stream. I said, "Deduct the money." In an instant, the air felt as though it had solidified. My father's complexion paled dramatically, the spatula clattering to the floor. My mother, who had been standing tall, suddenly wilted, her legs trembling, almost losing her balance. My brother's idle smile froze in place, as if the pause button had been pressed, the curve of his lips solidified. The live stream erupted after 3 seconds of silence. Deduct money? What the hell? What kind of audacious words are these? This faux heiress dares to speak of deducting her parents' and brother's money. Has she lost her mind? What audacity does an imposter have to utter such claims? Did you see her family's reaction? That was no act. That was genuine fear. My father wears that expression when my grandfather threatens to deduct my allowance. What kind of wealthy family is this? What is this family dynamic? My brain can't process this. Someone explain it to me. Jiang Chuchu was momentarily dumbfounded, staring at me in disbelief, then glancing back at the three people behind her, who appeared as if petrified. Her live stream system was frantically alerting her with messages. Face slap failed, warning. Warning! But she was too preoccupied to heed them. She did not comprehend why the script deviated so drastically from her expectations. Little did she know, in this household, my father was under my mother's thumb. My mother was a powerful businesswoman, my brother was a top celebrity, and I, Jin Yen, was the supreme boss of them all. 2. Jiang Chuchu's mind clearly malfunctioned, yet her live stream system continued to function diligently. The mechanical voice screamed in her head. Face slap task failed. Host charm value 10. Please initiate the next round of face slapping immediately, or face penalties. The searing pain jolted her back to reality. Gritting her teeth, she forcibly redirected the conversation. Jin Yen, do not act so pretentious here. She pointed at my seemingly unremarkable t-shirt. Do not think I am unaware. Every piece you wear is a luxury item. This t-shirt, she claimed, while appearing ordinary, was handcrafted in Italy, costing a staggering 200,000. You, a worthless leech, have no right to squander the G family's wealth on such extravagance. Her words ignited a powder keg, and the comments surged once more. A 200,000 t-shirt? Poverty has restricted my imagination. How dare she? Living off our Choo-Choo-'s family and indulging in such luxury, she's nothing but a parasite. Mr. G.
Madame,
You must see this. Your hard-earned money is being squandered by this woman. Jiang Choo-Choo gazed at me with pride, convinced she had struck my Achilles heel. After all, a faux heiress squandering family wealth was indeed a cardinal sin, capable of inciting widespread indignation. However, no sooner had her words left her lips than my mother, the silent business magnate GXIN, suddenly surged forward. She did not approach me, but instead grasped my arm tightly, inspecting me from head to toe as if I were wearing not a t-shirt but a bomb set to explode at any moment. Xiaoyan, my little ancestor. Her voice trembled with anxiety. Why are you wearing that shirt again? Did I not tell you? While the fabric is comfortable, it is too thin. What if it gets damaged? She exclaimed, this is the last piece in existence. Turning to the camera, her expression shifted from tension to a cold, businesslike seriousness. Firstly, let me clarify this. She addressed the millions watching the live stream with utmost clarity. This garment was not purchased by Xiaoyan, it was GXIN, who implored her to acquire it. Our luxury brand under the group required a person of utmost stature and taste to serve as the first experience officer. Xiaoyan reluctantly consented. A flurry of question marks filled the comments. Implored her to buy? Madam G, have you been cursed? Experience officer? What kind of experience officer requires spending 200,000? GXIN scoffed, her gaze seeming to penetrate the screen and reach every skeptic. Secondly, she paused, dropping a more explosive revelation. Xiaoyan spends her own money. She is not a leech. She is my boss, the largest individual shareholder of the G Group. I work for her, and every penny I earn has her share. The live stream fell into an utter silence. The color drained from Jiang Chuchu's face as she staggered back a step, her lips quivering. No, it can't be. This is impossible. The system in her mind blared a chilling alarm. Severe OOC. Plot logic collapsed. System energy depleting. Warning. Warning. My mother, GXIN, did not direct her gaze towards her but instead respectfully turned to me, her tone imbued with a sweetness that could almost drip. Boss, do you think I handled the crisis management adequately just now? Might I request that my bonus for this month not be deducted? I cast a sidelong glance at her, leisurely picking up the freshly squeezed mango juice my brother had prepared for me, taking a sip. It depends on your performance, I replied nonchalantly. GXIN appeared as if she had been granted a reprieve, exhaling a long sigh of relief. Meanwhile, the audience in the live stream had transitioned from shock to exuberance. No way. No way. No way. The annual drama. The fake heiress turns out to be a true magnate. Who dares to write such a plot? I shall call it a divine twist. So, it's not the fake heiress occupying the nest, but the CEO mother working for the hidden big boss? That threat about deducting money was indeed aimed at a top-tier star and the president of a listed company. So exhilarating. Absolutely thrilling. Choo-Choo's face must be swollen by now, right?
Ha ha ha.
Jiang Chu stared at the screen, overwhelmed by the torrent of mockery and astonishment, feeling as though her worldview was being shattered into fragments. She was unwilling to accept it. She refused to believe. This world was far too chaotic. How could an 18-year-old girl possibly be a major shareholder of a conglomerate? How could she be her mother's boss? It defied logic. With her eyes reddening, she resembled a cornered beast, launching a second assault. So, what if you're a shareholder? She screeched. You merely bask in the glory bestowed by your ancestors. And what about you, Jin Yan? Do you dare claim you're not an uneducated waste of space? I've looked it up. Your high school grades were mediocre. And you didn't even get into college. Besides being born into wealth and seizing others' families, what else can you do? This was her second card. In this era that revered elitism, the identity of a poor student was sufficient to overshadow all brilliance. This time, the tide of comments indeed shifted once again. Well, although she is a boss, her lack of education is indeed a flaw. Right? How can someone who couldn't even finish high school manage a company? The G group is bound to collapse. I feel sorry for my brother. How could he have such a sister, the boss? Jiang Chu detected a glimmer of hope and pressed on. My brother, Jiyu, is a top-tier star at such a young age. My mother is a business elite. And even my father excels in the kitchen. And what about you, Jin Yan? What can you do? You are the most useless one in this family. The living room fell into a heavy silence. My parents watched me nervously, fearing my wrath. Only my brother, upon hearing this, burst into laughter, doubling over as tears streamed down his face. What are you laughing at?
Jiang Chu phụ mẹ.
Ji wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes, stepped forward, and affectionately draped his arm around my shoulder, smiling brightly and proudly at the camera. Who says my sister is a waste? He asserted, lifting his chin, his enchanting visage brimming with pride. I must clarify to my millions of fans and the entire Chinese music scene. Have been in the industry for 5 years, with 3 platinum albums and 18 chart-topping singles. All the hit songs' lyrics, compositions, arrangements, and production are by the same person. He paused, lowered his head, tenderly ruffled my hair, and articulated clearly, her name is Jin Yan. I brought her into the limelight. My sister is my exclusive golden producer. She is my goddess. Jiyu's words detonated like a nuclear bomb within the live stream. Oh, I'm literally exploding right now. I've been a fan of Jiyu for 5 years, venerating the producer Nian behind all his songs as a deity. And now you tell me that Nian is his seemingly useless sister Jin Yan. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it. Nian is the most mysterious producer in the industry, never appearing in public, excelling in styles from lyrical to rock. How could she possibly be this 18-year-old girl? Does Jiyu really need to joke about such things? Isn't that damaging his own brand? So this is real? So Jin Yan isn't uneducated. She's a genius. A hidden musical prodigy. She's not relying on her brother. Rather, he's relying on her. My heavens! How many more secrets does this family hold? I feel like my CPU is about to overheat. Jiang Chu was utterly bewildered. The brother she took pride in, the idol she revered, was actually nurtured by Jin Yan. The so-called waste she despised was, in fact, the gold medal producer Nian, revered throughout the music industry. How could this be possible? The alarms in her mind blared sharply, signaling imminent collapse. Logical chain broken. Worldview conflict. Energy rapidly depleting. Warning! The host is experiencing backlash. Please cease the live stream immediately. Jiang Chu murmured in disbelief. I don't believe you. You are all deceiving me. You've united to trick me. Grasping at a final thread of hope, she suddenly turned to the man who had been the least present throughout this ordeal. My father. Ji and Dad.
She cried.
You must tell them. Reveal the truth. What kind of enchantment has this woman cast on you? How can you, as a man, be so willing to cook and clean at home, serving a counterfeit? Don't you have any dignity? She attempted to pierce a man's pride with the most traditional notions of gender roles, convinced that Jian would be the easiest target to break through. However, Jian, whom she had high hopes for, merely picked up the spatula that had fallen to the floor, wiped it with his apron, and then raised his head, regarding her with an expression akin to that bestowed upon a simpleton. You must be Miss Jiang, he said slowly. Firstly, cooking for my boss is not called servitude. It is fulfilling my work responsibilities. Secondly, my job title is Jean Yen's exclusive dietary and environmental management specialist with a seven-figure annual salary, paid vacations, and full insurance benefits. Pray tell, where is the lack of dignity in this position? The live stream once again descended into an eerie silence. A household husband with a seven-figure annual salary? The title of Jean Yen's exclusive dietary and environmental management specialist sounds more impressive than my CEO title.
I am envious. I'm genuinely envious.
Is it too late for me to resign and apply for housekeeping at the G family? Case closed. In this family, the mother is the CEO, the brother is a top-tier star, and the father is the chief living officer, all working for the same boss, whose name is Jean Yen. Jian paid no heed to the torrent of comments flooding the screen. He gazed at Jiang Chu, sighing, his tone imbued with the sympathy of an elder. Young lady, you do not understand. In this household, the least technically demanding jobs are those of my wife, the CEO, and my son, the star. Because the strategic decisions of the company and the artistic development of the artist are all determined by our boss, Little Nian.
Meanwhile,
I am responsible for the health and happiness of the boss, which directly correlates to the stable operation of the entire family business. My role is the core and foundation of this household. He patted his chest, pride evident on his face. My KPI is the smile of the boss. Your disruption today has caused the boss to miss her dinner, and my performance for this month is at stake. After saying this, he cautiously glanced at me. His eyes filled with a sense of apology. Boss, may I prepare Buddha jumps over the wall for you tonight? Would that be acceptable? Finally, I set down my juice cup and lifted my eyelids. Also add a Wellington steak. Understood. I guarantee the task will be completed. G.N. immediately brightened, turning to hurriedly enter the kitchen as if he had received the greatest boon. In the living room, only Jiang Chu remained, utterly petrified. Each of her humiliating rebukes transformed into a resounding self-inflicted disgrace. The truth she sought to unveil gradually pieced together a world that was utterly incomprehensible to her. A world turned upside down and disordered. In this realm, her father occupied the pivotal role of the chef at home, while her mother commanded respect in the outside world, serving as the foundational worker. Her brother basked in the limelight on stage, representing the base-level operations. Yet the individual she deemed worthless, Jean Yen, emerged as the pinnacle of this family hierarchy, the sole absolute authority. The popularity of the live stream surged rather than waned, surpassing the 10 million mark. However, not a single soul tuned in to witness her triumph. Instead, everyone eagerly anticipated her next blunder. Chu, stop struggling, surrender already. This scenario is insurmountably difficult. I find myself sympathizing with her. She resembles a novice intruding upon the realm of seasoned experts.
No, keep going.
I've got my snacks ready. I just want to see what Jean Yen is really about. Jiang Chu gazed at the screen, where sympathy and mockery scrolled by, while humiliation and resentment devoured her heart like venomous serpents. She refused to yield. She still possessed one final trump card, a paternity test. Jiang Chu, like a drowning soul grasping a life buoy, exclaimed, "Yes, we still have the paternity test.
Yin.
No matter your status as a shareholder or a producer, you are not Ji's daughter. That you cannot deny." Her eyes burned crimson, her demeanor frantic, as she aimed her phone's camera squarely at me. As long as you prove you have no blood relation to mom and dad, everything you currently possess will be rendered illegitimate. You are but an outsider, a thief who has usurped another's family and wealth. This was her ultimate card, the weapon she believed to be unassailable. Blood ties are the most fundamental bonds that bind a family. Sever that connection, and everything Jean Yen has built will collapse in an instant. The atmosphere in the live stream grew palpably tense. Oh right, almost forgot about that. No matter how impressive she isn't biologically related. This is the crux of the matter. What right does someone without blood ties have to control everything in the Ji family? If the test reveals she is not biological, will Ji Zong and the others still treat her the same? I feel it's precarious. All eyes were fixed upon me, awaiting my response. They presumed I would panic, tremble with fear, and desperately seek to halt the proceedings. However, I merely leaned back on the sofa, shifted into a more comfortable position, and even yawned. "Oh, go ahead," I said languidly. "I'm quite curious myself." My reaction left everyone momentarily speechless. Jiang Chu looked utterly astounded. You agree? Why would I disagree? I countered. When you're so flustered, it seems rather exhausting. The sooner we conclude, the sooner I can look forward to my Buddha jumps over the wall. My nonchalance instead prompted a flicker of ominous foreboding within Jiang Chuchu. Yet there was no turning back now. All right, you said it. She swiftly took out her phone, contacting the most authoritative testing center in the city, demanding they send personnel for a live sampling. Given the magnitude of the situation, the testing center could not afford to be negligent. Within half an hour, 2 staff members clad in white coats appeared at my doorstep, carrying a case. The sampling process was swift. I, GN, and GXIN each provided samples, which were labeled, sealed, and taken away under the scrutiny of millions. The staff assured us of expedited processing, promising results within 3 hours. For the viewers in the live stream, these 3 hours felt interminably long, yet exhilarating. Meanwhile, for my family, it was merely a change of scenery as we continued our daily routine. My father busied himself in the kitchen, clanging pots and pans as he prepared his grand feast. My mother sat across from me, reporting on the recent quarterly financial statements of the group and updates on major investment projects. My brother, notebook in hand, sat beside me, eagerly inquiring about the theme and style of his next album, whether to veer toward a cyberpunk aesthetic or a new Chinese electronic style. We engaged in animated discussion, as if the impending results of the test were nothing more than a trivial matter. Only Jiang Chuchu, like an outsider, paced restlessly in the living room. Watching our harmonious, almost hierarchical interaction, her unease intensified.
Why?
Why were they not the least bit concerned? Did they not fear that the test results would solidify Jin Yan's identity as an outsider, potentially inciting turmoil among shareholders and uproar among fans? Or was there, perhaps, a deeper secret she remained oblivious to? Time ticked away. The number of viewers in the live stream soared to 30 million, with 8 out of the top 10 trending topics online related to this grand family drama, true or false, the paternity test, the most notorious fake heiress.
Who is Jin Yan?
Feeling for Jiang Chuchu. Finally, the call from the testing center arrived. Everyone's heart raced to their throats. GXIN answered the call and put it on speaker. A composed male voice emanated from the receiver. Hello, Ms. G. The paternity test results for Mr. GN, MS, GXIN, and Ms. Jin Yan have been finalized. He paused, seemingly organizing his words. The entire living room, and indeed the entire live stream, fell into a silence so profound one could hear a pin drop. Jiang Chuchu fixated on the phone, her nails digging into her flesh. It was here. Her moment of vindication had arrived. The voice continued, based on the comparative analysis of DNA sequences, the possibility of excluding parental ties stands at 999. The conclusion is that Mr. GN and Ms. GXIN are not the biological parents of Ms. Jin Yan.
Boom.
The instant the results were announced, it felt as if the entire online world had been struck by a bombshell. Jiang Chuchu was ecstatic. She had triumphed. She had finally won. Did you all hear that? She shouted, seizing the phone and directing her voice at the camera.
Yin Yan.
You are indeed not a G. You are a fraud. A thief. Now return everything that belongs to me. In her mind, the crumbling system resonated with a celestial chime.
Ding.
Core face-slapping mission accomplished. Host receives substantial rewards. Charm points, 100. Fortune points, 100. System upgrading. An unprecedented surge of power coursed through her body, making her feel like the sole protagonist in this world. The comments flooded in frantically.
Whoa.
She really isn't biologically related. What does that make everything before? How can an outsider be in charge, be a producer? Has the G family lost their minds?
Yin Yan.
Get out of the G family. Return what doesn't belong to you. Support Chuchu. Reclaim what is rightfully yours. In that moment, public sentiment shifted entirely in favor of Jiang Chuchu. She looked at me triumphantly, her gaze brimming with disdain and the thrill of victory. Jin Yan, what more do you have to say now? You've occupied my life for 18 years, and now, with all evidence laid bare, it's time for you to leave. She anticipated my face would pale, that I would crumble into tears. Instead, she found disappointment.
I merely gazed at her quietly,
even with a hint of compassion in my eyes. Meanwhile, GXIN and GU beside me wore expressions not of despair, but rather one of calm acceptance, as if they were eagerly awaiting the unfolding of a grand performance. This eerie tranquility rekindled Jiang Chuchu's ominous premonition. "What is that expression on your faces?" she exclaimed, her voice tinged with a hint of fear. "The truth is laid bare before you. Do you still intend to shield her?" My mother finally rose slowly to her feet. Ignoring the clamorous Jiang Chuchu, she approached my side, picked up a meticulously prepared document from the table, and presented it before the camera. It was a lawyer's letter and a share transfer agreement. Indeed, Ji Xian's voice resonated calmly, yet powerfully throughout the entire live stream. "Xiao Nian is not the biological daughter of Ji En and me." Upon uttering these words, Jiang Chuchu's smile radiated even more brightly. However, Ji Xian's subsequent statement rendered the world momentarily paralyzed. For, as far as lineage was concerned, she paused, her gaze shifting towards me. Imbued with respect and a hint of endearment one reserves for an elder, I ought to address her as aunt. "What?" Jiang Chuchu's smile froze upon her face. The over 30 million viewers in the live stream were collectively enveloped in a monumental question mark. "Aunt? What on earth did I just hear?" Ji Zongwan Ji Nian is to call her aunt. So Ji Nian is Ji Zong's father's sister? No, that doesn't add up. Ji Zong is in his 40s, while Ji Nian is merely 18. I declare, my mind is officially out of order today. Is this what a wealthy family looks like? I truly am an ordinary person. Ji Xian did not allow the audience much time to ponder. She opened the document, clearly displaying it before the camera. It was a complex family tree accompanied by a will featuring a DNA verification report. The true power holder of the Ji family has never been me or my father, but rather my grandfather, Mr. Ji Zhenxiong. Ji Xian's voice carried a tinge of nostalgia and reverence. Grandfather, having a daughter in his old age. At this juncture, her voice faltered, her gaze resting on me, filled with affection. After many years following my grandmother's passing, a confidant entered my grandfather's life. They bore a daughter, my aunt. Yet, during a tumultuous time for the Ji family, to protect this newborn child, my grandfather did not reveal her identity, instead secretly raising her outside the family. Several years ago, aware of his dwindling days, my grandfather bequeathed a will. He allocated all shares of the Ji Group, overseas trust funds, and all tangible and intangible assets to his only untroubled concern, the heir he deemed most astute, his biological daughter. Ji Xian's finger pointed decisively at the name of the heir in the will, which unequivocally read, Ji Nian. To maintain discretion and to facilitate her return to the family under the pretext of reclaiming a lost daughter, my grandfather orchestrated her return to the Ji household. Thus, Xiao Nian grew up as my daughter Ji's sister and, consequently, as the great-granddaughter in this family. Regarding her remarkable talents, Ji Xian smiled, brimming with pride. That is an inheritance from my grandfather. In his youth, he built his fortune through music and astounding business acumen. Xiao Nian is a true prodigy. The truth was laid bare for all to see. The entire venue fell into a state of shock. The barrage of comments in the live stream ceased for a full minute. After the silence, an explosive outburst ensued. What in the world did I just witness? So, there was never any true or false heiress. It was all a ruse? To protect the genuine heir? Ji Nian isn't a false heiress. She is the true sovereign. Let me calculate the lineage. Ji Xian is Ji Nian's niece.
Ji Nian's grandniece.
My goodness. The top idol refers to an 18-year-old as aunt. What kind of cyberpunk familial ethics drama is this? So Ji Nian is the true power holder of the Ji family, literally the sole inheritor of the entire family estate.
No wonder.
No wonder Ji Zong and the others exhibited that attitude. That was not towards a boss, but towards an ancestor. Jiang Chuchu was utterly dumbfounded. Aunt? Niece? Grandniece? These terms struck her like heavy hammers, leaving her dizzy and disoriented. In her mind, the system that had just undergone an upgrade and was brimming with confidence emitted an alarming crackle upon receiving this revolutionary information. Warning! The foundational setting of the world line is erroneous. Target character Ji Nian's identity severely contradicts the system's recorded false heiress identity. Logical paradox detected. Recalibration in progress, failure. Core database conflict. Energy backlash initiated. System imminent collapse in 1098. No, this is impossible. Jiang Chuchu's face drained of color as she pointed at Ji Xian, her voice hoarse. You are lying. This is all fabricated by you. Fabricated? Ji Xian raised an eyebrow, revealing a sardonic smile. Miss Jiang Chuchu, have you forgotten how you came to our doorstep? She pivoted abruptly, mentioning an entirely unrelated name. You believe yourself to be the true heiress of the Ji family because the Zhao family provided you with a so-called piece of evidence, correct? Jiang Chuchu trembled, her pupils dilating. The Zhao family? How could she possibly know about the Zhao family? Ji Xian scoffed. The Zhao family has been our Ji family's bitter rival for decades. They have long sought to undermine us, but alas, they lack the capability. A few years ago, they discovered that my grandfather had an illegitimate daughter. But they did not know her specific identity, only that she was very young. Thus, they orchestrated this charade of true and false heiresses. They sought you out. An orphan with a tragic backstory, promising you a taste of sweetness, forging a parentage test between you and my husband Jian, leading you to believe you were a long-lost heiress, instigating chaos within our family. Their aim was to exploit you, disrupting our household, ideally compelling us to acknowledge your identity through public pressure, thereby allowing you, their pawn, to divide and seize our Ji family's wealth. Ji Xian gazed at her with pity. Alas, they calculated poorly, failing to realize that the illegitimate daughter they sought to confront was not some delicate flower easily deceived, but rather the true and sole mistress of the Ji family. As for the so-called true heiress, Ji Xian's expression hardened. Jian and I never had a daughter that strayed from home. We had twins, a boy and a girl. Regrettably, our daughter passed away at birth. This matter has been known only to us, her parents. Thus, Jiang Chuchu, Ji Xian pronounced with deliberate clarity, you are not a true heiress. You have merely been a pawn, utilized by enemies, all the while deluding yourself, a pathetic creature.
Boom.
Within Jiang Chuchu's mind, the system's final countdown reached its terminus. System collapse. Program destruction. Wishing the host a pleasant experience. The mechanical voice faded away. The surge of power coursing through her being was instantly siphoned away. What followed was an overwhelming emptiness and excruciating backlash. She coughed up a mouthful of blood and collapsed weakly to the ground. The livestream's camera faithfully captured this dramatic scene. As for me, I simply observed this farce in silence until the dust settled. Only then did I slowly rise. Walking over to where Jiang Chuchu lay unconscious on the floor, looking down upon her from a height, I turned to the pale-faced Jiyu beside me and said, "Call an ambulance. Do not let her die in my home. It would be ill fortune." Then, I faced the camera, addressing the millions of astonished viewers behind the screen, and revealed my first and only smile of the day. Thank you all for tuning in to today's familial drama. The advertisement time has ended, now. Let us return to the main topic. I clapped my hands, directing my attention to my mother, father, and brother, who stood resolutely once more. This month's KPIs. Do the three of you still wish to pursue them? The trio stiffened, immediately standing at attention, their voices unison, resonating with a fervor that could tremble mountains. We do, boss. I nodded in satisfaction. Excellent, I replied.
Now.
Who will elucidate how a woman of dubious origins managed to waltz into our living room with a live stream? Is our security system merely ornamental? My gaze slowly settled upon my father's face. As the guardian of our domestic environment and safety, beads of cold sweat instantly cascaded down his brow. And you? I turned my attention to my mother. With the Zhao family engaging in all these underhanded maneuvers, is your risk management department merely idle? Must we wait for an intrusion to realize the need for a response? Ji Xian's legs began to tremble once more. Lastly, I fixed my gaze on my brother. What of your public relations team? Did you allow this live stream to fester for hours, transforming our home into a zoo for the entire internet to observe? Have you forsaken this month's traffic targets? Ji Yu's handsome visage was now more pained than tears could express. I surveyed the three of them, my voice low yet heavy with gravity. I had previously warned that prolonged tranquility had rendered you complacent. Therefore, starting this month, everyone's performance metrics shall be halved. The trio cried out in unison, their lamentations echoing through the room. I ignored them and strode directly toward the dining room. Is the Buddha jumps over the wall ready? I inquired. It's done. Ji En's voice, tinged with a sob, emanated from the kitchen. Bring it here. I gracefully seated myself at the head of the dining table, while behind me stood three dejected family members, resembling wilted eggplants, alongside the live stream audience, which had been thoroughly stirred into a frenzy, their perspectives repeatedly crushed and reshaped. This farce had finally drawn to a close. Yet, my own narrative was just beginning. 7. Jiang Chuchu was taken away by an ambulance, reportedly suffering from immense psychological trauma, compounded by the backlash of the system's collapse, leaving her in a daze. The Zhao family, under my mother Ji Xian's resolute leadership, experienced a catastrophic plummet in their stock prices overnight, with several core projects hijacked, leaving them in disarray, unable to muster any further turmoil. Conversely, my family attained unprecedented fame due to this earth-shattering live stream. My aunt's identity and my eccentric working-class relatives became the focal point of online discourse. My personal information was thoroughly excavated, transforming me from the enigmatic music producer Nian to the hidden power behind the G Group, adorned with countless illustrious titles. In an instant, I became one of the most legendary women of this era. Yet for me, life remained largely unchanged. I still nestled at home, occasionally penning songs, reviewing reports, and remotely orchestrating my 3 employees to fortify my commercial empire. However, the trio has found recent days rather arduous. Due to the halved performance metrics, my father's salary this month was significantly reduced, causing him to hesitate even over purchasing a premium ham. My mother, mandated to restructure the risk management department, spent endless nights in meetings, sporting 2 sizable dark circles under her eyes, even dreaming of exclaiming, "Boss, I was wrong." My brother fared the worst. His public relations team was utterly ravaged by my criticism, and he himself was penalized with participation in the outdoor survival reality show he detested most. Euphemistically termed an experience of life, a tempering of character, and a quest for inspiration for his next album. Thus, the national audience witnessed this peculiar scene, the once popular idol Jiyu, gnawing on tree bark in desolate wilderness, tearfully lamenting to the camera, "Boss, I was wrong. Grandma, I truly recognize my mistakes. Please let me return. I will serve you diligently. I shall never dare again." Meanwhile, I sat on my plush sofa at home, savoring the low-temperature, slow-cooked tenderloin my father had crafted, watching my brother's plight unfold on television. Expressionless, as I remarked to my mother, inform the production team to increase the difficulty. I believe he remains too unoccupied.
Die sind Scheibe.
Hastily nodding and scurrying to make the call. Such days were marked by a tranquil yet subtly oppressive enjoyment of employee exploitation. Until one day, an unexpected visitor arrived at our doorstep. It was Jiang Chuchu. She had been discharged from the hospital. Stripped of the system support, she appeared considerably haggard, akin to a flower ravaged by a storm. Yet her gaze no longer held the previous arrogance and folly. Instead, it revealed a complexity and clarity. She stood at my door, refraining from pressing the doorbell, simply standing silently. It was my father, Jian, who discovered her while taking out the trash. "What do you want?" Jian inquired warily. Jiang Chuchu did not meet his eyes. Instead, she gazed at the window of my room on the 2nd floor and softly said, "I wish to see Jin Yan." "Oh no, Miss Ji. I have something I wish to personally deliver to her." Jian, hesitant to make a decision, hurried inside to inform me. I was somewhat taken aback, but ultimately consented. In the living room, I sat across from Jiang Chuchu. She retrieved a diary and a small USB drive from her bag. "This is the last fragment of data I salvaged before the system collapsed," her voice rasped. "I found someone to recover it. It contains some information about you." I raised an eyebrow, urging her to continue. "It states that you are not the daughter of Mr. Ji Jinxiong and his paramour," Jiang Chuchu said, looking directly at me, enunciating each word. My heart sank. It asserts that the paramour indeed gave birth to a daughter, but tragically, like President Ji Xian, that child also perished. A profound silence enveloped the living room. My father, mother, and brother were all taken aback. If even the identity of Ji Jinxiong's illegitimate daughter is fabricated, then who am I? Jiang Chuchu pushed the USB drive toward me, her eyes gleaming with a sense of liberation. "Jin Yan, you too are an illusion.
You are a pawn, just like me.
However, your peace is far more exalted than mine." With that, she rose, as if shedding a colossal burden, and turned to leave. I stared at the USB drive, engulfed in prolonged silence. The secrets concealed within this household appeared to be more numerous than I had ever imagined.
8.
I did not immediately inspect the contents of the USB drive. I regarded my 3 family members, each displaying a different pallor, and calmly inquired, "So, who will explain this to me?" The atmospheric pressure in the living room plummeted to an icy point. Jian rubbed his hands together, his gaze evasive. Ji Xian pressed her lips tightly, her complexion pale. Ji bowed his head, unable to meet my eyes. Ultimately, it was Ji Xian, my nominal niece, who sighed and stepped forward. "Boss, no, Auntie. This matter was orchestrated by grandfather." Her voice bore a weariness and weight I had never heard before. "You are indeed not grandfather's biological daughter. Grandfather's paramour was indeed pregnant. However, just before her delivery, the Zhao family intervened, resulting in a difficult birth that claimed the lives of both mother and child." This revelation struck my heart like a boulder. Although I felt no emotional connection to that unknown mother, an inexplicable sorrow welled within me. Grandfather was devastated and harbored deep animosity toward the Zhao family. He understood that the Zhao family harbored designs against him, and with the Ji family lacking a successor at the time, despite my commercial acumen, my vision and strategy were insufficient compared to his. He feared that after his passing, the Ji family would be wholly consumed by the Zhao family.
Di xin poset?
Raising her head to meet my gaze with intensity. Thus, grandfather initiated the most audacious and reckless plan of his life, the Phoenix Project. The Phoenix Project? I furrowed my brow. Indeed, Ji Xian took a deep breath. A plan to create the perfect heir. My grandfather leveraged all his connections and wealth, embarking on a global quest to find the most gifted orphans. Intelligence, emotional quotient, character, vision, each criterion needed to meet the highest standards. He unearthed hundreds of children and subjected them to the most rigorous secret training and selection processes. And you, Jin Yan, are the sole perfect creation to emerge from this group. At the tender age of 3, you could recite the first 1,000 digits of pi. By 5, you exhibited astonishing musical talent. At 7, your acuity regarding the financial markets surpassed that of most analysts on Wall Street. You are composed, resolute, astute, even cold-hearted. In your grandfather's eyes, you are the epitome of an ideal heir, a formidable weapon meticulously crafted to safeguard the Ji family's legacy. My heart constricted sharply. A weapon? The identity I believed to be mine was but an illusion. The lineage I thought I possessed was a fabrication. Ultimately, I was not even a person but merely a manufactured creation, a weapon? A chilling wave surged from my feet, engulfing my entire being. For the first time, I felt lost and furious. Thus, I gazed at them, my voice as frigid as ice. You all knew long ago that I was no mere distant relative. As you addressed me as Boss Daily, were you not secretly mocking me, the fool kept in the dark?
No.
Jiu exclaimed, rushing forward. We didn't. We. Silence. I barked, my voice sharp. Jiu trembled, silenced by fear. I rose to my feet, feeling suffocated for the first time in this household. It dawned on me that the calmness and rationality I prided myself on were merely programmed responses. I believed I had control over everything. Yet, I was the greatest puppet of all. Ji Zhenxiong, my grandfather whom I had never met, yet who orchestrated my entire existence, had indeed plotted meticulously. He passed away, leaving behind a perfect version of me to guard his legacy. I seized the USB drive from the table and turned to leave.
Boss.
Where are you going?
Di xin panic?
I did not look back, merely delivering a cold parting remark. To seek answers. Or rather, to obliterate one. I intended to visit Ji Zhenxiong's grave. I needed to inquire of the man now resting beneath the earth. Who, exactly, am I, Jin Yan? 9. Ji Zhenxiong's tomb lies in a remarkably scenic private cemetery. I arrived alone. Standing before his gravestone, I gazed at the photograph of the sharp-eyed, imposing elder, my heart a tumult of emotions. This was the man who created me yet bound me for life. I inserted the USB drive into my laptop. The contents were fragments of encrypted files retrieved from the depths of the network by Jiang Chu before the system collapsed. As I pieced them together, they pointed to a name entirely unfamiliar to me, Professor Lin. The files contained numerous grim details about the Phoenix Project, even more harrowing than Ji Xian had disclosed. Hundreds of children endured not merely academic scrutiny, but various psychological and physiological extreme tests. Those who were eliminated had their memories erased and were returned to their original places. I was the sole survivor. At the end of the files was an audio recording of a conversation between Professor Lin and Ji Zhenxiong. Professor Lin's voice was frail and weary. Old Ji, are you truly intent on proceeding with this? She is not a tool. She is a living person. Ji Zhenxiong's voice was cold and hard as iron. In chaotic times, one must employ severe measures. I do not desire a sentimental individual. I need a guardian for the Ji family. Emotions are humanity's greatest weakness, and I must excise them from her. But she is yours. The recording abruptly cut off. What is she of mine? My heart raced. At that moment, an elderly voice emerged from behind me. He intended to convey, you are his biological granddaughter. I whirled around to see an elderly man in a wheelchair, pushed by a caregiver, slowly approaching me. His features mirrored those of Professor Lin in the USB photo. Professor Lin? I regarded him warily. It is I, he said, offering a gentle smile. I have been waiting for you, child. What did you mean by your earlier words? I pressed. Professor Lin sighed and gestured for the caregiver to halt. He gazed at Ji Zhenxiong's gravestone, his eyes distant. That old rascal Ji Zhenxiong deceived everyone, including your niece Ji Xian. Years ago, his daughter, your biological mother, did not perish due to the Zhao family's schemes. She survived and gave birth to a healthy daughter, namely, you. My mind went blank. However, your mother, after giving birth to you, suffered immense psychological trauma, rendering her distrustful of everyone, including Ji Zhenxiong. She vanished from the hospital with you, a newborn. Ji Zhenxiong utilized all his resources to search for you for 3 long years before finally locating you in a remote orphanage. Tragically, your mother had succumbed to depression and illness. He brought you back, only to discover that the threat posed by the Zhao family was far more formidable than he had anticipated. He dared not allow you to live under your true identity, for it would render you a target for all enemies. He was equally fearful of allowing you to enjoy a normal girlhood, concerned you might resemble your mother, fragile, sentimental, ultimately consumed by this cruel world. Thus he devised the so-called Phoenix Project. Professor Lin regarded me, his eyes filled with sorrow. He cast you, along with hundreds of other children, into that merciless crucible. He publicly declared his intent to forge a perfect heir. However, his true objective was to temper you into the hardest diamond through the most extreme means. He compelled you to learn, to grow stronger, to forsake all unnecessary emotions. He succeeded. You became the person he envisioned. Yet he also rendered you the most solitary individual. For the first time, tears welled uncontrollably in my eyes. I am not a creation, nor a weapon, nor his daughter. I am his biological granddaughter. He offered me the most profound love and protection through the most brutal means. Before his passing, he revealed the truth to me. Professor Lin retrieved a letter from his pocket. He instructed me to wait for you, to deliver this letter once you were strong enough to confront everything. Trembling, I accepted the letter. The envelope bore Ji Zhenxiong's vigorous handwriting, to my beloved Nian Nian.
10.
I opened the letter. The paper was slightly yellowed, and each word seemed to have been inscribed with the weight of a lifetime. Nian Nian, when you read this letter, I shall have already turned to dust. Forgive your grandfather for participating in your life in such a manner. I have always been strong, never harboring regrets. The only vulnerability I possessed was your mother. My failure to protect her, allowing her to depart this world in pain and fear, is my greatest sin. Upon finding you, and gazing into your eyes, identical to your mother's, I was struck with fear. I feared I could no longer protect you, that you would tread the same path. This world harbors malice towards beauty and fragility. Thus, I chose the most selfish and cruel path. I forged you into an indomitable sword, granting you the ability to withstand harm from anyone. The price was that I stripped you of your childhood, your innocence, and your right to love and be loved. I do not know whether this course of action was right or wrong. I have meticulously arranged everything for you. Ji Xian and the others will serve as your most loyal subjects, and the wealth of the Ji family will stand as your unwavering support. You are free to live the life you desire. Yet, my dear child, should you ever feel weary or disheartened, do not forget that you are not a born ruler. You may also choose to be an ordinary little girl. Your grandfather watches over you from above. With love, Ji Zhenxiong. The letter, now soaked with my tears, revealed the truth. I had not been abandoned, but rather, I was loved in the most clumsy and extreme manner. It became clear that my seemingly cold family members were not merely my subordinates. They were, in fact, guardians of my grandfather. protecting me with a bond that transcended mere loyalty. Their reverence and obedience were infused with a profound familial love that had long been woven into our bloodline. What I had misconstrued as control was, in truth, protection. What I thought was exploitation was, in reality, fulfillment. Standing before the gravestone, tears streaming down my face, I found myself smiling. I bowed deeply to the photograph before me. Thank you, grandfather. Thank you for shaping me into the person I am today. Upon my return home, night had already fallen. The living room was ablaze with light, and GXIN, and G sat on the sofa like three forsaken puppies, eagerly awaiting my arrival. The table was adorned with steaming dishes, filled with my favorite foods. As I entered, they sprang to their feet, flustered, wanting to speak but hesitating. I gazed at them and, for the first time, discerned the cautious affection hidden beneath their awe. I sniffed back my emotions and took a seat at the dining table. Why are you all staring? I picked at my chopsticks, returning to my usual tone. The food will get cold. Their faces lit up with radiant smiles as if a weight had been lifted from them.
Oh,
You're back. G and hurriedly ladled soup for me. GXIN arranged the dishes, and GU diligently peeled shrimp. Boss, today's Buddha jumps over the wall is cooked to perfection. Auntie, I had this wagyu flown in from Japan. Please try it. Grandma, this shrimp is the freshest. Let me peel it for you. The living room, once again, brimmed with warmth and liveliness. After tasting a dish, I observed their bustling figures and suddenly spoke. Starting next month, your performance evaluations will return to normal. All three paused abruptly, then erupted into exuberant cheers. Thank you, boss. Long live Auntie. Grandma, you are my goddess. As I watched their ecstatic expressions, a smile involuntarily crept upon my lips. Perhaps my grandfather was right. I had become strong enough to protect those I wished to safeguard, strong enough to live as I desired. I could be the deity of the G family, their queen. Yet occasionally, I could simply be their boss, their family. I turned my gaze towards the window, where the night was gentle. My story was not an ending, but rather a new beginning in an entirely fresh manner. This time, I would no longer be a pawn or a weapon. I am Jin Yen. I am the master of my own destiny.
the end.
Thank you for listening. Until we meet again in the next story.